Okay, everything's up and live.
Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the Tuesday, September 8th Committee of Adjustment meeting. Can I get someone to call the meeting to order? Moved by Councillor McDonnell, second by Councillor Lang, that the meeting is to order. All those in favor? Carried. Can I get an approval of the agenda as presented? Moved by Councillor McDonnell, second by Mayor Prevost. All those in favor of the agenda? Carried. Approval of the minutes of the July 20th meeting. I'll give you a couple seconds to review those. Can I get a mover to approve as presented? Moved by Councillor Lang, second by Councillor McDonnell. All those in favor of the minutes of the July 20th meeting? Perfect. Carried. Are there any declarations of pecuniary interest? Councillor Lang.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'd like to declare on the Heidi Farms one, so I will sit that one out. As
Okay.
my daughter-in-law is the daughter of that family.
Not a problem. Thank you very much. Okay, moving on to number 5, Miss Haley, A0220 LaSalle.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'm just going to share my screen. I just need the permissions to share my screen, sorry.
Sorry, go ahead.
Thank you. Okay, I just need to find my presentation. Sorry about that. I had them open. There we go. Can you see my screen now?
Not yet, Miss Haley. There we go.
Okay, perfect. Okay, there we go. Sorry about that. So I'll just start off explaining the rules of engagement for our public meeting this evening. So welcome everyone. For members of the public that are participating by Zoom or by phone, you will be permitted to speak to your respective application following my presentation. Prior to speaking, we request that you please state your name and address for the record. To make a comment, please use the raise hand function and the chair will call on you. If you have registered to participate in the meeting by phone to speak or to a particular application, you will be asked if you would like to comment on the application after the applicable presentation. So now I need to read some formal wording that's required under the Ontario Planning Act. Any person may attend this hearing and or make written or verbal representation either in support of or in opposition to the proposed minor variance. If a person or public body does not make oral or written submissions at this hearing before the minor variance is decided upon, the person or public body is not entitled to appeal the decision of the minor variance of the Committee of Adjustment to the Local Planning Appeal Tribunal, also known as LPAT. If a person or public body does not make oral submissions at a hearing or make written submissions to the Committee of Adjustment or the Township of South Glengarry before the minor variance is decided upon, the person or public body may not be added as a party to the hearing of an appeal before LPAT unless, in the opinion of the tribunal, there are reasonable grounds to do so. So we're now going to start with application A0220. For the committee members, you may recall that you heard this application on January 27th, 2020. The application was deferred at that time as the Raisin Region Conservation Authority required additional information to determine if they could support the application. Due to the time that has passed between now and January 27th, a new notice was issued to the abutting property owners within 60 meters, even though the minor variance requested have not changed. We just felt it was best to do so in case there was any new tenants in the area or new ownership that would not have been made aware in January of 2020. So this property is located a part of lot 24, Concession 1 in the geographic township of Lancaster, now in South Glengarry, also known as 6316 Willow Drive. This is an aerial view of the image. You can see the properties highlighted in blue. And I've also included a zoning map. The reason why I've included the zoning map is I want you to see that the property is primarily zoned limited services residential, with the blue area adjacent to the St. Lawrence River as floodplain. So there's minimal floodplain on this property. The applicant proposes to demolish an existing single detached dwelling and to construct a new single detached dwelling and require the following relief from the zoning bylaw. 1 is to reduce the watercourse setback from 30 meters to 15 meters to the southeast corner of the proposed dwelling. A portion of the proposed dwelling will be built on an existing footprint. And then part 6.2 is to reduce the front yard setback from 6 meters to 1.9 meters to the proposed dwelling and to increase the maximum lot coverage from 20% to 25%. And the existing dwelling is already located in that same front yard setback. However, the new portion that's proposed will follow the established building line. And the property is designated residential district in the county official plan. This application conforms to the general intent of the official plan. And the residential, or the property, is zoned limited services residential and floodplain holding. And the application conforms to the general intent of the zoning bylaw. The application was circulated to applicable municipal staff as well as the Raisin Region Conservation Authority. Planning and building staff have no concerns with this application. And the RSCA can now support the application, but they do require that an Ontario regulation permit will be required to be issued by their office prior to a building permit being issued. And to date, I have received no public comments, not even any phone calls with general inquiries. So I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Okay, Councillor Jaworski.
Thank you, through you, Mr. Chair. Ms. Haley, my question is, so the dwelling, the distance of the proposed dwelling to the water course, am I correct in saying that they're not going closer to the water than they were originally? Like the size of the building is going to be expanded, but away from the water? Is that a fair description?
Yes, I would agree with your interpretation, yes.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, are there any other comments from the public or from Councillor Lang?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I went down and had a look at the property last night, and it seems like the house is going to be built basically on the same footprint. He's just adding a little bit to the east side, not the waterfront side, but the east side to put a garage or a carport or whatever it is that he's adding on there. So it didn't seem to be, making anything any worse than what was there, other than that you'll have a newer building that's likely a little more flood proof than the older building would be my opinion. Thank you.
Okay. Are there any other comments?
Yes, Mr. Chair, I just have to give the person on the phone, Ms. Skelton, an opportunity to speak.
We cannot.
Yeah, there we go. Ms. Skelton, you can go ahead.
I don't have any questions. I'm quite happy with what's going on.
Would you be able to state your name and your address?
It's Heather Skelton. Address is 6315 Willow Drive,
Thank you.
Lancaster.
Thank you.
That was your comments, Ms. Skelton?
Sorry, Mr. Chair, I just had to give her the opportunity because she had called in and she can't raise
Yep.
the hand on the phone.
Yeah. Ms. Skelton, was that all your? There, we can
Yes,
hear
it
you
is.
now. What were your comments? I'm sorry, we just had to, for the record, get your name and address. What were your comments that you'd like to add?
I have no comments. I just quite content with things the way they are, and so we're good to go.
All righty, thank you very much for your comments, Mrs. Skelton. Brian, okay, 1 second here. There's somebody else with their hand up, Brian Wheeler. Did I just see that?
Yeah, I put my hand up. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can, yeah.
So it's Brian Wheeler at 6318 Willow Drive, neighbors to the property. A point of clarification for me, if you can, is you're changing the setback from the water on the property, even though it's going to the east side, it's not going closer to the water. Do we know that for a fact?
I can explain that, Mr. Chair. So we actually do know that for a fact. And the reason why we know that is because to go through this process, we require properties to be surveyed. We need a building location survey of the existing structure, as well as a proposed location of the proposed addition. The existing structure is actually closer to the water than what the proposed construction will be. Therefore, that's why they're saying that what's being proposed is not going closer to the water. So the proposed construction will end up widening the structure, and it would be wider towards the east, but still meeting a 15-meter setback from the water course, which is actually a closer setback than what is currently provided. In one section of what is currently provided, it's 11.8 meters. So does that answer your question, sir?
Yeah, so basically, I guess it is because the setback is already smaller than it previous, like, it's confusing that you're changing the setback rule when it seems like there isn't a need for it. But I guess the
Okay.
need for it is from a previous build or something to that effect.
No, I understand what you're saying, and I understand exactly why you're saying that. So what's there is grandfathered, and perhaps it was built before rules were in place. And I know in Lancaster Township in the early 90s, the setback was only a 15-meter requirement. I don't know what it was prior to the early 90s. Today, if you're proposing any new construction, the new construction has to come into compliance with the bylaw, regardless of what the existing setback is to the dwelling. That's the purpose of the minor variance.
Okay, very good. Just wanted to clarify that part of it. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Okay, so that's good. Seeing no other comments, can I get a mover to approve as presented? Moved by Mayor Prevost, second by Councillor Jaworski, to approve as presented. All those in favor? Motion is carried. Moving on to A2520 Cleary. Can I just, Kaylin, I just had a text from a member of the public trying to get on the meeting. I texted you and they're saying that they can't get on and they want to speak. I'm not sure if you
Are they trying to join by phone or online? Sorry.
I believe they're trying to go by phone, but it says the ID does not exist.
Okay, just a moment.
It's Ron and Karen Lefebvre. I believe they live near Heidi Farms.
Okay, yeah, just a sec, please. Do you want to go to the next file? And if you can send me their phone number, I'll call and make sure they can get on. Is that a good idea?
I'll send it to you,
No,
Kaylin.
I believe it's the next file.
Oh,
I
no.
believe it is for Heidi Farms, not this one. So I'll text you their cell number and you could call them.
I will do that.
Mr. Chair, we actually have one more application in between.
Oh, okay. Oh, it's not on my, it's not on the agenda that I have. Okay, not a problem. So moving on to A2520 Cleary, Ms. Haley. Thank you.
Yes, so that one is on the agenda. I'm just going to share my screen again. Okay, so A2520 is also located in Wesley's Point, in a little bit of different location. It's part of Lot 24, Concession 1, Geographic Township of Lancaster, now in South Glengarry, also known as 6249 67th Avenue. This is a key map of the property location. You can see this is the South Service Road, and then you would come in off of the 67th Avenue. And here is an image of the current zoning, where you can see a majority of the property is limited services residential, and a portion of the property is also in the floodplain. So the purpose of this minor variance is the
Jack, what do
applicant
you have?
proposes to demolish an existing residential detached structure and replace it with a larger accessory structure known as a garage. Therefore, the following relief is required: to reduce the watercourse setback from 30 meters to 17.1 meters to the proposed garage. And a portion of the proposed garage will be built on the existing footprint of the garage that is proposed to be demolished. And in fact, the new garage will actually be further away than the existing structure. So the property is designated residential district in the county official plan, and this application conforms to the general intent of the official plan. And the property is zoned residential 1 and floodplain holding and conforms to the general intent of the zoning bylaw. This application was circulated to applicable municipal staff as well as the RRCA. The planning and building have no concerns with this application, and the Raisin Region Conservation Authority supports the application and requests that an Ontario regulation permit or requires an Ontario regulation permit to be issued prior to a building permit being issued. And to date, I've received no public comments.
Okay, thank you. I'm still texting that other individual. Okay, so are there any comments of committee members? I can't see everyone's face at the second. I can't see Councillor McDonnell or Mayor Prevost because of the sharing.
I don't have a question at this point.
Okay. Okay. Are there any questions of the public? Okay, seeing no hands raised. Can I get a mover to approve as presented? Moved by Councillor McDonnell, second by Councillor Lang. All those in favor to approve as presented? Carried. All righty. Okay, Miss Haley, the sheet that I have goes right next to Heidi Farms.
Yes.
Okay. I thought there was one in between. You had made a.
No, I think I just maybe didn't explain myself properly. It was A25 in between A02 and A26.
Okay.
So
Yeah,
I
no,
apologize for that.
no, that's not a worry. Okay, so A2620, Heidi Farms.
Would you like me to get started, Mr. Chair, or would you like to wait?
Madam Clerk, have you been able to get in contact with?
She's on the phone with them now,
Okay.
but we'll have to move on, so.
Yeah, just if they have comments, maybe she can, when the time comes or whatever. Go ahead, Miss Haley.
Perfect. Okay, so A2620 is located on part of lots 23 and 24, Concession 2, Township of Lancaster, now in South Glengarry, also known as 21093 Concession 2 Road. This is an aerial view of the existing property. So you can see that the large property outlined in blue, and this is where the existing farm is. The purpose of the minor variance is the applicant's proposing to construct a new dairy barn, and the following relief from the zoning bylaw is requested: to reduce the minimum distance separation from 229 meters to 40 meters to the nearest dwelling unit located at 21055 Concession 2 Road. So I'm going to try and explain this a little further. So again, this is an image of the farm. You can see the existing barn. This area highlighted in green is the proposed barn that's going to be 40 meters by 60 meters. In here, from the corner of the proposed barn to this dwelling, which is also owned by the Ogerly family, is proposed to be a 40-meter setback. I now want to just explain what minimum distance separation to means, because this isn't language we see all the time. The minimum distance separation guideline or calculation is established by the Ministry of Agriculture. And so OMAFRA, I should say the full term, I'm sorry, Ministry of Agriculture and Rural Affairs. So OMAFRA requires all municipalities to include minimum distance separation calculations in zoning bylaws to provide an opportunity for minor variances if farmers with proposed new expanding livestock facilities or storage, manure storages can't meet the required separation distances. And the separation distances are basically from the structure, either a barn or manure storage, to a sensitive land use, which could be a house, recreational areas, or other land uses. The separation distance calculated by MDS2 will vary according to a number of variables. So it's going to depend on the type and number of livestock. So for example, if you're doing dairy barn, full-size cows, they require more space, more distances than what chickens would require. It looks at the type of manure system. It looks at your livestock management. What type of barn are you proposing to build? Is it a tie stall, a free stall? And then it also considers future expansions as well. So every time a new barn is proposed in South Glengarry or manure storage pit, the applicant's required to complete the calculation. The calculation uses a form that's provided by the Ministry of Agriculture. And they usually work with their designer who designs the barn. And then they complete the calculation to determine what the minimum setback would be. And in this case, the minimum setback would be 229 meters. So moving on to the planning documents, the property is designated agricultural resource in the official plan and conforms to the general intent of the official plan. And the property is zoned agricultural and conforms to the general intent of the zoning bylaw. I've received no formal oral or written comments from the public to date. I did receive one phone call questioning, excuse me, I have an error here, the location of the proposed barn. And we have no concerns with the proposed minor variances, and no other agencies were required to be circulated given the location of this property. So if there's any questions, Mr. Chair, I'll answer them.
Okay, are there any questions of the members of the committee? I can't see Councillor Jaworski or Councillor Lang declared a conflict of interest. Yeah, go ahead, Councillor Jaworski. There we go. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Through you, Mr. Chair. And this was, I had an opportunity to ask this question to Ms. Haley, but I'd like to also ask it here in open meeting. Is so as I understand, as you explained to me, Ms. Haley, the MDS2, that this is a guideline to ensure compatible land uses, or ensure that that agricultural operations can expand, but also within a context that is also agricultural. And it doesn't have to do with safety requirements with regards to impact of these operations from a health perspective. It's purely from making sure that the impacts of different properties on each other are taken into account.
Yes, that's exactly it. And how I often explain it to the public is it's more about awareness. So your existing residential uses are aware that they live near a farm. They know the type of farm activity that occurs. But having this calculation and giving applicants the opportunity to go through a minor variance, it then makes the public aware that potentially these structures are going closer to where they live. And it gives them the opportunity to speak positively or negatively towards an application that would then give the Committee of Adjustment to make a decision to ensure that it's not negatively impacting, those existing uses.
And just to ask follow up, you've received no public comments on this. There's been no.
I have not, other than the one phone call from an adjacent property owner asking a little bit more information, and I did provide a copy of the image that I have included in my presentation that shows the location of the proposed barn. I provided that by email, but I've not received any complaints or written comments or anything that can be shared this evening.
Thank you very much.
All right. Are there any other comments or questions from the members of committee? Seeing none, I believe Mrs. Lefebvre is on the line now.
Good.
I'm not, it seems like she's been disconnected. I had unmuted her and now she's gone.
Okay. I don't know what, I clicked a button by accident. Oh, there we go. Okay. I don't know what we should do. Should we wait?
maybe the clerk can give her a quick call to see if she had a comment or a question, I guess, maybe if that's.
Luke Mario has raised his hand. I'll click on Luke, allow him to go ahead, and maybe we can try and get Luke, once we have Luke speak, maybe Mrs. Lefebvre will call back. Go ahead, Luke.
Hi, guys. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Okay, perfect. Sorry, I'm last minute there because I'm really not good at this stuff. So my son had to come and bail me out.
Actually, if you don't mind if I interrupt, Luke and Mr. Chair, your application is on after 6 p.m. So if you don't mind holding your comments for a few more minutes, that would be great, please. Unless you're wanting to speak to the minor variance application regarding the proposed dairy barn.
No,
Okay,
I'm good.
thank you. Not that I wanted to cut you off, but I just thought maybe you were on for a different application.
Perfect. Thanks.
No problem.
Mr. Chair, the clerk is trying to get hold of the other lady now, so just bear with us for a moment.
Yeah, no, that's not a problem.
Perfect time to write my minutes.
Sorry, and I'm not getting an answer, so perhaps we can reach out to her and offer her an opportunity to comment in writing and watch the video.
That I agree. That I think that's fair, and I believe, if I'm correct, that may have been. She just said she does not want to speak. Okay, so that's good. Can I get seeing that there are no other questions from the members of the committee? Can I get a mover and a seconder to approve in favor as presented? Moved by Councillor McDonnell, second by Councillor Jaworski. All those in favor to approve as presented? Carried. Okay, Miss Haley, next meeting is September the 21st.
It is, Mr. Chair, and to date I've received one application and I believe we may have one more. So if we only have one or two applications, I'll propose that we meet again at 5:30 as I'm anticipating a public meeting at 6.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
With that being said, can I get a mover to adjourn the meeting? Moved by Sam, second by Martin. Meeting is adjourned at 5:58 p.m. Thank you. And we stay on